10 things you should know about the honey gouramis coming up. Honey gouramis, hence the name honey, will appear usually yellow. People mistake these fish as dwarf gouramis because they have very similar body structure, but they are actually completely different fish. Honey gouramis are labyrinth-breathing fish. What it means is that they will build bubble nests at the top of the tank using some floating plants to help it keep together or underneath a floating object. A bubble nest is an area of surface you'll see filled with bubbles that don't even pop. The reason why they don't pop is because a honey gourami creates a layer of mucus around each bubble to stop the bubble from popping, basically like a shield. Male honey gouramis will build the bubble nests, so be prepared for a coat of bubbles on the surface of your aquarium. If you need to do a water change or something, don't worry if you break the bubble nest. The gourami will just make it all over again, kind of like a spider spinning a web. Honey gouramis are probably the most peaceful gourami you'll find out there. They won't harm a single soul, but males sometimes tend to chase other males of its own kind. So keep watch if you have 2 or more males living together. You just need to make sure the other fish won't attack your honey gouramis. I will make a whole video on this in 1 week's time, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Honey gouramis are super duper small gouramis, one of the smallest in fact. They can grow up to 4 centimeters long, which is roughly 1.5 inches. They don't require much space at all, although it is preferred to house them in a 10-gallon or larger, as they like plenty of space to swim around. Just don't get fooled by the myth that has been around for years, that gouramis or betas come from mud puddles. It's not true. They actually originate from long canals or creeks, but with small water flow, so don't listen to anyone if they tell you this lie is true. Male and female honey gouramis are fairly easy to tell apart. That's what makes it so easy to breed them. Males will appear with rich yellow and most of the time will have red appearing on the edge of its dorsal fin and anal fin, whereas the females will be a faint yellow and possibly even grey. This honey gourami shown here is a male. What makes these fish so unique are their little feelers. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean the little string coming off their pelvic fin would usually be. In fact, those strings are their pelvic fins. Fascinating, right? Honey gouramis use those feelers to feel around and are sensitive to vibrations, telling whether other fish are aggressive and mean, or there are no vibrations and the coasts are clear. Honey gouramis are labyrinth fish. They can literally take a few gulps from the surface and there's the oxygen. So the cool thing about these fish is that if you have a species-only tank, you don't need an aerator as they will already be taking oxygen from the surface. This means to have a slow-moving surface and plenty of fresh air meeting the surface of the water, but this still means you need a filter. Honey gouramis are tropical fish, but they thrive best in the cooler waters from 20 to 24 degrees Celsius, which is 68 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. My reason being, if you don't have an aerator in the tank, then you need at least a bit of oxygen inside the tank. Keeping the temperature cooler will keep the tank well oxygenated compared to warmer water. The warmer, the less oxygen. The cooler, the more oxygen. But if they are in a community aquarium with other fish, then they will still thrive at warmer temperatures. Honey gouramis are one of the most popular gouramis due to their small size and hardy tank requirements. Besides temperatures and sizes, I've seen that these fish prefer the mid-hard pH from 7.0 to 7.5 and do poorly in a lower pH, and are perfect fish for a beginner aquarist. Honey gouramis originate from India and Bangladesh, so it's warm up there, isn't it? The breeding cycle of honey gouramis ain't that hard. Raise a sudden temperature and turn off the heater for 1 day straight. This will mimic rainy season. Provide lots of floating plants and make sure to have a male and female. Get a bunch though, because honey gouramis won't just become a pair if just as a pair. The male will get to work building his best bubble nest, making sure it's stable and sturdy. If the female is impressed, they will wait for the female to be fat with eggs. Feeding them live food such as brine shrimp or bloodworms will kickstart this process. Once the female is full of eggs, the male will escort the female to their bubble nest and they will wrap each other around as the male squeezes the eggs out of her. Once they're all out, the male will fertilize them and then bring them one by one into the bubble nest. This can take up to a few hours. While he's doing that, take out the female as her role has been complete. By the way, this is best to be done in a breeding-only tank in case the other fish will gulp up all the eggs. And try not to stress out the male as he may abort the eggs and eat them all. A few days later, the eggs in the bubble nest will hatch and the male's role will be done. Take him out and raise up the fry from there, feeding them off powder food, then vinegar eels and baby brine shrimp. Overall, a gorgeous, easy beginner fish and certainly worth buying because they're super cheap and they're found at most pet stores. Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot. Please give me your thoughts in the comments down below and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. With that being said, have an amazing day and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!